that down. Let's move on to this, shall we? Paris, what do we got up next?
All right, so Deadpool and Wolverine has just finished its first 10 days in theaters and its second weekend, taking in an insane $97 million. For some perspective, that means Deadpool's second weekend box office would have been the third biggest opening weekend box office of the year, behind only itself and Inside Out. So, John, what do you think of Deadpool's second weekend?
I saw that number, and I simply could not believe what I was looking at. You know, normally when a movie makes like over $150 million on its opening weekend, it will have a much larger than normal second weekend drop-off. Spider-Man No Way Home had like a 70% second weekend drop-off. Not because people didn't love it, it's because everybody already saw it. It had one of the biggest opening weekends in history. So I was expecting, to be honest with you, to see Deadpool and Wolverine take like maybe a 65% drop or something like that. Instead, Deadpool and Wolverine only took a 54% drop. It took a regular drop like any regular movie, despite the fact that it made over $200 million in its opening weekend. And I want you to keep this in mind. Paris kind of alluded to this a little bit. But until Inside Out came along, the biggest opening weekend of the year, Ray, maybe you can double check this for me, was Dune 2. Dune 2 was the second, or was the biggest opening weekend of the year before Inside Out came out. I believe it was like $83 million, $87 million opening weekend.
For Dune 2?
For Dune 2?
Yeah.
I think it was somewhere along those lines. And Deadpool and Wolverine.
It was 82 opening.
It was 82. So that was up until like half of the year. Biggest opening weekend of the year, Dune 2, $82 million. Deadpool and Wolverine's second weekend. Deadpool and Wolverine's second weekend just beat the opening weekend of Dune 2 and beat the opening weekend of every other film this year except for Inside Out, which made like 150 something.
Yeah.
I mean, just think about that. A 97. According to The Hollywood Reporter, that makes it the eighth biggest second weekend in history, R-rated or otherwise. Another little feat that Deadpool and Wolverine just crossed: highest grossing R-rated film domestically in history, passing The Passion of the Christ. Now, the worldwide biggest R-rated film in history is Joker, and you know it's going to catch Joker.
Yeah.
So it's now the biggest all-time R-rated film domestically. It's closing in on that. It's now the eighth biggest second weekend of all time. It's going to become, possibly, depending on what kind of legs it can have this week, it's going to become one of the fastest, maybe a top 10 fastest films ever to hit $1 billion. And by the way, anybody left out there that doesn't think Deadpool and Wolverine is going to make $1 billion? Anybody left? Anybody? No, because now it's over 800 million already. In 10 days, it made over $800 million. It's 830 something, 840 something, somewhere along those lines. It's just nuts. Also, you know when you discover a new binge-worthy show or a song that you bump on repeat and you have to share it with your friends so they can experience just how awesome it is? That's kind of what it feels like when you discover that Mint Mobile offers premium wireless for $15 a month when you purchase a 3-month plan. It's such an awesome deal, there is no way you can keep it to yourself. My last mobile service provider was quite good, but ever since I switched to Mint Mobile, I've enjoyed even better coverage, better phone clarity, and I'm paying less than a third of what I paid to my old provider. Say goodbye to your overpriced wireless plans, jaw-dropping monthly bills, and unexpected overages. All plans come with high-speed data and unlimited talk and text delivered on the nation's largest 5G network. Use your own phone with any Mint Mobile plan and bring your phone number along with all of your existing contacts. To get this new customer offer and your new 3-month unlimited wireless plan for just $15 a month, go to mintmobile.com/Campea. That's mintmobile.com/Campea. Cut your wireless bills to $15 a month at mintmobile.com/Campea. $45 upfront payment required, equivalent to $15 a month. New customers on first 3-month plan only. Speed slower above 40 gigabytes on unlimited plan. Additional taxes, fees, and restrictions may apply. See Mint Mobile for details. Where's that comic book movie fatigue? What? What? we've been saying on this show for a long time now, there is no such thing as comic book movie fatigue. There is mediocre movie fatigue. Yeah. And as the comic book movies got more and more mediocre, there's no surprise. It's not a coincidence that the box office and attention started to fall. But once something comes out that looks exceptional, guess what? Everybody ran back to the theaters again. If people were just tired of comic book movies, a lot of people still would have saw Deadpool and Wolverine. A lot of people would have still gone to see it, but not this many. This thing's going to hit $1 billion before its third weekend. Think about that. This movie's going to hit $1 billion before its third weekend. So tell me more about this comic book movie fatigue everybody's talking about. It's also, I put a note about this in our newsletter a while ago, but man, the reports of Disney's demise have been greatly exaggerated because, everybody's talking about Pixar's dead and Disney's dead and Marvel is dead. And all of a sudden, the number 1 box office film of the year and the number 2 animated film of the year, all time, $1.5 billion worth of Inside Out 2. What's that? Pixar's dead? What? And then their very next film that they put out is about to hit $1 billion before its third weekend in Deadpool and Wolverine. And by the way, with the box office results of Deadpool and Wolverine, this movie has now made Disney in just 4 films. Disney has released 4 films this year. That Omen movie, Planet of the Apes, Deadpool and Wolverine, Inside Out. With just 4 movies out, Disney has now crossed, just past the halfway mark of the year, the $3 billion mark this year. In just a little over half a year. And they still have more movies coming, including a little movie called Moana 2, which, spoiler alert, is going to make some money.
Yeah. Speaking of, didn't they release Young Woman in the Sea? It didn't make a lot of money, but was that Disney or was that considered Fox or Searchlight?
It would be considered a Disney film, but I don't think it was counted amongst their, because they never got a wide release.
And, yeah, so I didn't think it didn't make a lot of money. I only brought it up because I watched it on the weekend, and thanks for whoever pointed that out to me that it went on streaming. It's a good movie. I really enjoy that movie.
So Deadpool now is just crushing it. Disney is right now crushing it. And they're also, besides the success of Inside Out and Deadpool, they're also in the basking the afterglow of the huge worldwide pop they got from their Comic-Con presentation. Now we'll see what they do with their stupid, shitty little D23 piece of crap. But I'm sure there's going to be some interesting announcements that come out of there. So we're going to see that too. So now the question becomes, it's a different question now. The question is not, nobody is left to ask, is Deadpool going to be a hit? Because believe it or not, I had a lot of people writing into me in the previous year saying Deadpool's going to flop. None of them will admit it now. Nobody's going to come out now and admit and raise their hand and say, yeah, I was one of those. But there were a number of people, like over the past year or so, wrote and said, Deadpool's going to flop. Okay. Then, so that's no longer the question about whether Deadpool's going to be a hit. The question is also no longer, will Deadpool be the next $1 billion film? Obviously it is, right? So that question is no longer on the table. That's gone. Everybody who said there's no way it can make $1 billion, that's off the table now. Now the only remaining question is, how much will this thing make? Now it's going to clear the $1 billion. Is $2 billion a possibility? Is 1.5 a possibility? Will it catch Inside Out 2 to be the number 1 box office film of the year? I am personally still sitting on the 1.2 to 1.3 billion dollar mark. I think that's where it's going to come in. I hope I'm wrong. I hope it does way better than that. If it does, awesome. But I'm still going to say stick around the 1.2, 1.3. Ray, what were you saying you thought it was going to be?
I didn't even have it. Just because I didn't want to go over. I think I said 917 million.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
So I think you're safe.
Now we're headed into the billion zone, because I guess it will hit $1 billion, which congratulations. I'm gonna go on the lower end below you, John. Maybe at $1 billion, 115, something like that.
So 1.1. What about
I'm at the
you, Paris?
1.2, 1.3. I don't think it's gonna catch Inside Out. Or surpass it. I don't think that's possible.
It's just, remember, like, Inside Out is over 1.5 billion, which
Yeah.
nobody in their right mind ever thought was going to happen. Like, Amy Poehler didn't dream in her wildest dreams that Inside Out 2 would become a 1.5 billion. Like, we all knew it would be big, but I don't think anybody thought it was going to be that big.
I love how it's evenly making money domestically and internationally. They're about the same.
Yeah.
Like 52-48. I like how the money is being spread evenly throughout the whole world, I guess,
Yeah.
with this movie.
Question is for you guys. What do you think about this? Deadpool and Wolverine just made $97 million, which would have been a remarkable first weekend. But no, it did that on its second weekend. It's already passed the $820 million mark in just 10 days. It'll probably hit $1 billion before the end of its third weekend. How big do you think it can be? Are you surprised by the numbers that we're seeing? Whatever you guys think, jump down to the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. Hey guys, thanks so much for watching this video. Make sure you like the video, leave a comment, and subscribe to our channel. And don't forget, we have a daily podcast called the John Campea Show podcast, available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or your favorite podcasting app of choice. Go and subscribe to it today so it'll be there when you need it.